To be precise, according to ESPN, USC with an 88.7% chance of winning the game in Tucson against the Wildcats, who come in at 3-4, 1-3 in the Pac-12. And Matt, are we discounting a possible four-way tie for first place just because to thread that needle is basically impossible? So we've got, of course, the three teams with one loss, and we've got Oregon with no losses in the Pac-12. So basically, Utah would have to win the game against Oregon.
No doubt. You have to have that for have any chance of a four-way tie. That's pretty obvious.
And then Oregon State would be the most likely team to beat Oregon otherwise. And most likely we would need UCLA to lose a game leading into USC, because USC is probably not going to lose one of its games, as you just mentioned.
Well, here's the thing. You're not going to get a four-way tie with four teams at 8-1. You could get a four-way tie with teams at 7-2, but not 8-1, because now with UCLA losing, UCLA and USC both have one conference loss. So we're guaranteed one of them is going to lose a second conference game. So if we're going to have a four-way tie, they all have to finish 7-2. And so the real unlikelihood there is that Oregon is going to lose twice in its remaining schedule. Very unlikely there. So the best chance for a non-two-team tiebreaker, which isn't really clean and neat, is a three-way tie, most likely involving USC and then Utah and Oregon, with Utah winning at Oregon. I have to say, though, and we're going to talk about Utah in a little bit later, but once again in this UCLA-Oregon game, we saw the continuing story of the Pac-12 in 2022, road teams not being able to get it done against high-level opposition. Now, USC came close, but that only counts in hand grenades and horseshoes, right? So no road team has been able to close the sale, and so that burden falls on Utah going to Oregon on November 19th. If you're a USC fan, and of course this is a USC show, so there's plenty of USC fans looking in here at the voice of college football, you have to feel pretty good about where USC sits, because you have to feel pretty good about the UCLA game and Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley getting at that slow UCLA defense. And then you have to think that Oregon, on balance, is probably more likely to win that game against Utah. And so if Oregon goes 9-0 in the Pac-12 and finishes first, well, it's okay. USC can get in there at 8-1, play the Ducks in Vegas, and that's the game that really counts. So USC's path is there. And, if you ask me today who wins Utah-Oregon on November 19th, I say I'm leaning Oregon. Just because we haven't yet seen Utah play really well in a big road game like that. That is still yet to be seen this year. Cam Rising played a great game at home against USC. We have not seen the elite 2021 version of Cam Rising in big road games. Didn't see it at Florida. Didn't see it at UCLA. Committed key mistakes in that game. So the burden is on Cam Rising to really be able to keep up with Bo Nix in a possible shootout when we talk about that Oregon game a few weeks down the line on November 19th.